Tonight on CTV3 News, traffic accident in San Victor Corozal claims life of Orange Walk teen. BSI ESR yet to receive counter-proposal on 4-year term commercial agreement from the BSCFA. The manufacturer warns that payout of fair trade premiums is not feasible to them. The Ash bill goes under consultation. And the North continues to commemorate 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, November 29th, 2023.
Movies are dreams. That you never forget.
The lights change how everything looks. It's hard to find our house.
Ours is the dark house with no lights.
In this family, it's the scientists versus the artists.
What kind of movie are we gonna make?
You stop making movies, it'll break your mother's heart.
I don't know what to do anymore.
You do what your heart says you have to. What was your favorite part?
Centaur, your kind of company. With Express Plus, you can stream on the go or stream at home. Stream the latest movies, telenovelas, series, anime, or music videos from your favorite local artists. Sign up now with Centaur's Express Plus.
How to win $1,000 cash per branch.
Install or update to Express Plus streaming app. Also win another $1,000 cash per branch. Update your account balance up to December. Update your personal information to get your e-ticket. Drawing date January 5th, 2024 on the Despierta Belice Morning Show. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Centaur's family.
Good evening, with your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. There was a fatal road traffic accident that occurred last night in the village of San Victor in the Corozal district. While the information and details are scarce, it is known that the RTA involved 2 motorcycles and 4 friends. The collision claimed the life of 19-year-old IT vet student Daniel Zamir Ayala from a number 12 Stadium Street address here in Orange Walk Town. Elmer Cornejo visited the family and has prepared the following story.
Daniel Zamir Ayala's dream was to become an electrician, and he was working towards making that dream a reality by enrolling at the IT Vet Orange Walk. Ayala was in his second year of studies. Yesterday, however, his dream was cut short. Ayala had been socializing with his friends at his number 12 Stadium Street residence here in Orange Walk Town when one of his friends asked him for a lift to San Victor village in the Corozal district. Little did Ayala know he would never make it back home alive after finding himself involved in a collision that would end his life immediately. Today, his parents were visibly broken still, coming to terms with the death of their only son. His cousin, though, mustered the courage to talk to us.
Llamaron a la muchacha de arriba para informarle que él tuvo un accidente en Santa Clara. Cuando ella bajó, ella solo le informó a mi tía de que Daniel tuvo un accidente y después de eso ella le pidió a la muchacha porque le preguntó que quién fue que llamó y ella solo dijo que es un amigo de Daniel. Y cuando mi tía le preguntó que si por favor puede conseguir el número porque necesita saber qué es exactamente lo que pasó, mi tía llamó y el muchacho le dijo que, solo le dijo en la llamada que lo siente mucho, que su hijo falleció, no lo pudo lograrse y que estaba en San Víctor. Pero mi primo le había dicho a su mamá que estaba en Santa Clara. Que porque ahí fueron a dejar a alguien, a un amigo que estaba aquí en Orange Walk que queda y fueron a llevar a otro muchacho que queda en San Víctor. Y de allí pues no se supo nada más hasta que ellos fueron. Cuando ellos fueron pues el cuerpo ya estaba atrás del pick-up de policía. Dicen que un muchacho venía para enfrente y él hizo overtake y fue que hizo collide con su moto de mi primo. Eso fue todo lo que supimos, de ahí no se sabe nada más. Accordingly to el amigo que llevaron allí, que dice que él vio todo, dice que eran 3, pero cuando llegó mis tíos dicen que solo vieron 2 motos chocados. Pero accordingly dicen que son 3, pero no sabemos. Mi tía está devastada, ella está triste porque es su only child. He's his only child. So, tenía 19 y no tienen más hijos.
But was alcohol involved? That is what we asked Ayala's cousin, who also told us off camera that reports suggest that his friends had engaged in a street race when Ayala lost control of his cycle after jumping a pedestrian ramp in full speed. Ayala died almost immediately, while his friends Russell Hernandez, Zednan Hernandez, and the other driver Omar Cruz received various injuries. As for Cruz, he had to be transferred to the KHMH for further medical assistance.
Antes de que pase ese accidente, mi tía lo llamó para preguntarle y él le dijo a su mamá que no, que él no está tomando, y que solo fueron a dejar a alguien. De ahí él dijo que él se estaba viniendo, pero después él le dijo a mi tía que él no estaba tomando, pero algo de su moto se le había caído. So, él fue a ver de ello. Y después de eso ya no se supo nada más. Él solo dijo que él ya estaba para venir. Ya no se supo nada más de él. Hasta que llamaron a la muchacha de arriba.
Solo una persona falleció, ¿verdad?
Sí, y el otro muchacho dicen que está grave en Belice.
¿Son conocidos, son amigos?
Son amigos, son good friends. Aquí estaban primero, pero dice mi tío que él consiguió un mensaje y él se fue. Él le dijo a su papá que ahorita regresaba y se fue, pero él no estaba tomando porque aquí estaban.
¿Y el accidente pasó como a qué horas?
Como por ahí las 7:30, las 8 por ahí, sí.
¿Y el reporte policial, la familia ya habló con la policía?
Pues hasta ahorita no, nada, solo anoche que hicieron papeleríos, pero no le han dicho nada a mis tíos.
Ayala is remembered as a positive young man who offered assistance whenever the need arose.
Daniel era un muchacho bien friendly, estaba estudiando, en ITV, creo que era su second year, él ya iba a ser graduate, él ya estaba para ser graduate. Solo ayer consiguió su report card y todos hizo paz, todavía los maestros le comentaron a su papá que es un brilliant niño y era bien friendly, everything, él nunca decía no. Cuando yo le decía, llévame a mi casa, sí. everything is yes for him. Él le gustaba su moto, pero pues nunca pensamos que le iba a pasar eso.
¿Y su último recuerdo de usted con Daniel?
El último, well, recently fue Monday. Lo miré el lunes que estaba yendo, yo me estaba yendo a mi casa y él me dio un drop, porque yo vivo en Village. Ajá, y todavía le dije, estaba raining ese día, y yo le dije, él me dijo, tengo que trabajar. Después de eso, yo le dije, no salgas con la moto porque está slippery, le dije así. ¿Cómo vas? Me dice, no, voy en el pick-up. De ahí yo y él ya no tuvimos más communication.
A post-mortem examination is scheduled to determine the cause of death. Daniel Ayala had no children. Elmer Cornejo, CTV3 News.
Tonight, while the BSCFA is yet to issue an official response to BSI-ASR on the proposal made by the mill to sign a commercial agreement for a period of 4 years, Vice President of International Relations for ASR, Mac McLachlan, reacted to the resolution passed by the association over the weekend. As we have been reporting, the membership of the association voted on a resolution to accept an interim agreement for a period of 1 year, until which must also include specification that BSI-ASR will pay fair trade premiums to the association. Now, while an official response is still being awaited, McLachlan says BSI's position remains the same, which is to avoid delays in the start of the crop season and move the industry forward.
No, we haven't received an official response to that. So I'm hoping that, we're in a position now where cane prices are at record levels. It really is time to consolidate, to work together with certainty. You asked earlier, about consistency. This is all about certainty and consistency. We've asked BSCFA if they'll continue with the current arrangements for another 4 years. I certainly hope they will. Every year of more uncertainty means we can't really invest here in the ways we'd like to. And that's always been the case. We've made that argument now for years and years and years. I think the fact that our investments have proven that it's not only sugar prices that improve cane prices in the end. That's a major part of it. But also going to added value sugars, as we have done, improving efficiency, reducing cost in transport and shipping. All of these things come together to blow the previous high cane price out of the water. So I know for a fact, because we talk to a lot of farmers, that they're very happy with that, with the way things are going at the moment. They're investing more in the land. There's no time now for, to have some kind of really detrimental relationship breakdown, I believe. I think that what we need to do is work together now, move forward, and demonstrate collectively what we can do together.
Despite persistence by the BSCFA, McLachlan says the payment of fair trade is not decided by BSI-ASR and is not subject to change, and is so making it a requirement to reach a commercial agreement can only be construed as a tactic to delay the crop.
Since the inception of fair trade and fair trade premiums in 2008, BSI has never been the conveyor of the premiums. Our fair trade we're not certified to be the conveyor. We're certified to pass on fair trade eligible sugar. Tate and Lyle is the company that then markets and sells that fair trade sugar and provides the premium. It's very straightforward. BSCFA know that. They've known it for years. I believe that this is simply a tactic to try and delay the start of the crop and to keep problems occurring, in the media and elsewhere. We're ready to start the crop. We'll be ready in the next week or two to actually begin this crop. We need to get cracking, get on with it. And there really isn't any room or time for this kind of play acting, in my view.
I know both the BSCFA and BSI has said that they have no interest in delaying the crop, but, from what we've been hearing, you both seem to have a hard stand on especially that fair trade issue.
Well, it's not a hard stand. It's a fact. Okay? So we are not certified as a conveyor for fair trade. So we can't take that responsibility. And there's no factual reason why we would, because we're not marketing that fair trade product. And we're not the one responsible for paying the premium. So this, I think, is very misleading. And it certainly is no excuse for not starting a crop.
And while the leadership of the BSCFA says they have received a commitment from GOB that the season will not start without a signed agreement, McLachlan says the issue continues to be between two private entities and should be treated as such.
No, this is a commercial agreement between two private sector entities. And what we need to do is simply get on with the crop. It's not. What is the point of delaying a crop and maybe shifting back into a point where farmers won't be able to deliver all their cane and we'll end up with standing cane, lower purity cane at the end of the crop? Well, what is the point for the industry of doing that? There is no point. I mean, and as I say, I haven't had an official response from the BSCFA.
Industry stakeholders are expected to meet on Friday to discuss a date for the start of the crop season. The proposed start date has been set as December 11th. Tonight, the sugar industry in northern Belize remains in limbo with the crop season about to start and a broken chain of communication between BSCFA and the BSI-ASR. BSCFA is awaiting the results of the work of the Commission of Inquiry, which has been tasked to modernize the industry, to decide if they will sign a long-term agreement with the manufacturer. Today, Minister Karim Musa, who chairs the subcommittee formed by GOB to serve as mediators between both entities, spoke on the long-standing impasse and the work of the Commission.
There's no delay in the Commission of Inquiry. Again, your media house seems to have some sort of fascination, like the leader of the opposition. No, what we have been engaged in as the leader on the interministerial, the subcommittee of ministers, we have been engaged in negotiations, one, to restore fair trade for the farmers, the BSCFA farmers, in addition to finalizing the commercial agreement. Along with that is the Commission of Inquiry, which is not something that our board or our ministerial committee will decide. That will come from the Prime Minister in terms of the selection, the appointees to that particular commission, and it is hoped that we can get that Commission of Inquiry going early next year.
Sir, and so then in relation to the start of the sugar crop season, the new sugar crop season, BSCFA says that they want a one-year agreement, not four as being suggested by the miller, and they said that they would want the intervention of the subcommittee to see if they can find a middle ground.
Yes, and again, that it goes to the whole point of our negotiation process. We had another round of meetings yesterday with the BSCFA in Belmopan after Cabinet, and it is our intention to meet again with ASR tomorrow, and so it is a continuing negotiation. I know that the mill is saying that they would be ready for December 11th to start the crop, but again, it's a technical decision because you have to do an assessment of whether they are prepared, meaning the farmers, whether the crop is ready, because you cannot start the crop and stop the crop, and so it is very important to do an assessment. It really comes down to a technical decision that the Ministry of Agriculture will have to make on the readiness of the plantation to take to the mill. So that is an assessment being carried out right now by the Ministry of Agriculture, and so it is hoped that between December 11th, when the mill is ready to receive cane, and sometime in early January, sometime there we can start the crop.
Are you at all concerned right now about the way that things are playing out? Because to us it appears that it's gearing up to be a repeat of previous starts for season.
Yeah, and that is why it is so very important for the government and the ministerial subcommittee to be a part of this process. We continue to hold the hands of the farmers to do what we can to ensure that they have a fair season ahead, and of course eventually a fair industry on a whole. That is the whole purpose of the Commission of Inquiry. And so, yes, this is not an easy task for the subcommittee. No one thought it was going to be an easy task, but we certainly have been handling the challenges, and we continue to negotiate, and I'm very hopeful that we will meet resolution shortly.
A chairperson for the commission, have they already been selected?
No, not as yet.
As it relates to the work of the Commission of Inquiry, BSI-ESR today once more made its position clear, which is that the work of the Commission should be on ensuring the modernization of the industry, which has been adversely affected by climate change for several years. The launch of BSI-ESR's newest project, AgroPro, which we will tell you about later in the newscast, that is, according to Finance Director Sean Chavarria, is an indication of the millers' commitment towards that goal.
I think from our end, the prices that we are paying out speaks to the commercial agreement and that it's working in favor for everyone. The fact that we have a record price this year ever is a signal that the investments we've made, the commercial agreement that we have is working. From our end, if there is to be a commission of inquiry, from the get-go, we have stated that the focus should be on looking to address the inefficiencies that exist in the industry. And a lot of that is around the cane farm. And so this program is, in a sense, our small part to try to move that process along. We feel that as an industry, we've taken too long to really try to modernize the farm, renovate farms, get it to the productivity levels that it should be. And so from our standpoint, we believe that that's where the focus of the Commission of Inquiry should be, if there is going to be one, that it focuses on modernizing and looking at inefficiencies of the industry and seeing how we can address that. Similarly, the Sugar Act needs to be revamped, needs to be modernized and fit for purpose. And so in our view, that should be the focus.
A group of women from the community of San Esteban here in the Orange Walk district formed part of a special training session today on gender-based violence and how we can work together to put an end to this long-standing problem in our communities. The training session, facilitated by the Child Development Foundation, CDF, with collaboration from the San Esteban Community Library and the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association, forms part of the 16 days of activism being celebrated across the country under the theme Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls.
We shared this morning about the different manifestations of domestic violence as well as other forms of violence against women, such as child abuse, commercial sexual exploitation, human trafficking, and also domestic violence. And then we're also sharing with them about some of the important things that they need to know about how this manifests, right? We talked about some of the underlying causes of gender-based violence, and it comes from harmful practices, negative gender norms that we have, some of which we have inherited from our families, some of which we have seen in the community, that speaks to unequal roles and responsibilities for men and women. We talk about how that leads to situations where sometimes men feel that women don't have equal value, where they begin to feel that they can do anything to women, where women are disposable. And sometimes that spills over into the intimate relationships that they have, where women feel unsafe because men use physical harm, sexual harm, or other forms of violence against women in those relationships. And we talked about how you can identify those danger signs in the relationships, how you can know if the relationship is descending, and what you can do in terms of seeking counseling, speaking to your church, pastors, other NGO organizations, the police, women's department, and those are the agencies that have the actual expertise to help you to navigate those situations. And also we talk about when you need to decide that you need to get more help and may even need to leave those relationships because it's just not safe for you to stay in those relationships. And then now we're working on strategies, how we can help to change the community dynamics that kind of overlook or facilitate those kinds of violence and get the community more involved in changing how we respect women, changing how we support children, changing how we ensure that women are respected and treated and valued in the community and in their families so that we can end violence against women.
Ending gender-based violence, according to Executive Director of CDF, Diana Shaw, will take a collective effort to achieve a common goal.
Ending gender-based violence is not going to be done by the government. The government has an important role to play, but they don't live in our homes. We aren't married to them. They don't know the relationships that we have. So it's going to take all of us in our homes, in our families, in our communities, in our workplaces, in our sporting arenas, with the places where we hang out after school, the places where we hang out on the weekends. It's going to take all of the people in all of those places getting on the same page and deciding, you know what, we need to do things differently. Let's talk about how we can change how we talk about women, how we treat women, and let's talk about how we can end violence against women. That's what it will take.
At the end of the training session, community librarian for SANES 7, Marian Cancino, says the hope is that the participants are able to make a difference in their community by reaching out to the most vulnerable.
We will not just have this like a normal activity or a normal workshop. I think we will start working out more together so that we can reach out to our community, to churches, to school, to different entities that work here, so that we have a community awareness. We spread out the word. We spread out the word so that we can stop domestic violence.
Coming up next, BSI ESR prepares to launch a Grow Pro project. We'll tell you what it is all about. Stay tuned.
¿Cómo ganar $1000 en efectivo por sucursal? Instale o actualice la aplicación de Transmisión Express Plus. ¿Cómo ganar otros $1000 en efectivo por sucursal? Actualice el saldo de su cuenta a diciembre. Actualice sus datos personales para obtener su boleto electrónico. El sorteo será el 5 de enero del 2024 en el programa Despierta Belice. La gerencia y personal de Centar le desea a clientes y amigos una feliz Navidad y un próspero año nuevo.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
On October 25th, a man plunged to his death from 35 feet after a cable holding up a basket he and a co-worker were in broke. The men were subcontractors doing a job at the Belize Defense Force BDF Air Wing in Ladyville. After that tragic accident, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, NTUCB, issued an urgent call for the GOB to complete the Occupational Safety and Health OSH bill and take it to the House of Representatives and Senate and make it into law. The bill was first introduced in 2014 but died after objections from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry representing employers. But in 2019, BCCI, the organization, saw the merits in an OSH law and committed to it after 2 men died in the Belize City Center following the collapse of a scaffold on which they were working. When the bill had been introduced in 2014, the BCCI, they had written to the chairman of the Public Service, Labor, Industry and Trade Committee to point out several areas of the proposed law that either required clarifications or amendments. They had also engaged the NTUCB about their concerns that the parties had met in 2018, and that at the meeting on July 2nd, 2019, they had agreed to formulate a 6-member working committee tasked with reviewing the bill so as to obtain a satisfactory final draft by November 2019. The present administration has committed to take the bill to Cabinet and then to National Assembly, but before that, consultation must take place. With that in mind, the Ministry of Labor will be hosting sensitization sessions on the OSH bill across the country.
The OSH bill is now a legislation that aims to promote the safer and healthier working environment of employees. So this particular Occupational Health and Safety Act would then substitute the current act that we have, which is the Factories Act. The Factories Act currently is the one that sets the rules and guidelines for the operation and the environment of working conditions. So with this new OSH bill, more details are to be taken into account to ensure the health and safety of employees. This OSH bill led to the creation of the National Occupation Safety and Health Authority, known as NOSH, and the Occupational Health and Safety Inspectorate. So it intends to reduce the amount of numbers of incidents that currently occur. We have a current committee of different stakeholders who are now taking out this Occupational Health and Safety Act, and the members include the Belize Social Security Board, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Department of Environment, of course the Labor Department, the National Trade Union, Congress of Belize, the Chamber of Commerce, the civil society with the expertise on OSH, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Central Building Authority, Public Service, the NHI. So now, moving forward, we're having consultation and sensitization sessions countrywide. And for the North, we always start with the North. So we're first to go. And for the Corozal district, we would have it on the 4th of December. And it's going to be in the morning from 9 in the morning to 11. And that's going to happen at the Corozal Education Center. So for Orange Walk, we have the same date. It's still December 4th, and it's going to happen in the afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. And that's going to be, the venue is going to be Gala Lounge.
Okay.
So the reason for this consultation is to once again bring people to the table to discuss their concerns regarding the Occupational and Health and Safety Act.
The workers, employees would benefit directly from an OSH law, and so would the Social Security Board, and there would be fewer injuries and deaths on the job, and there would be fewer payouts by the SSB for injury and death benefits. But for the OSH bill to work out, you must form part of the consultation sessions.
It is very important for us to know what would be our rights, our responsibilities, how we will be protected by this OSH bill.
Right.
Because it is not only for the employers and the employees, it will also cater for the visitors to those places. Okay, it will protect everybody. So it is everybody's business to ensure that they would know exactly what this OSH bill is all about. So we are opening this invitation not only to employees, to workers, to anybody, everybody, to come to this. The idea of the OSH bill, the implementation of the OSH bill, is to avoid accidents, preventative measures. That is what it's all about. We do not want compensation-wise. Yes, it is true that if there is an entity or a company or a business that did not follow, did not have any compliance, then definitely sure penalties would be incurred. But we want to avoid that. We want to avoid accidents occurring in the workplace.
Exactly.
That is the whole purpose of the bill. It will encompass all work, all the workforce, from the persons working at a domestic house to the construction workers, to the office workers, to the casinos, everywhere, teachers, everywhere. Everybody would be included in this OSH bill.
The world continues to grapple with the effects of climate change on an annual basis. Belize is no different, and one industry which has been suffering from the negative effects for several years is the northern sugarcane industry. The industry has already recorded losses in the millions of dollars due to a drastic reduction in cane production linked to extended droughts and prolonged rains. The Belize sugar industries is seeking to secure the future of the sector from further devastation and has launched various projects as it seeks to accomplish this goal. The most recent project to be introduced here in the north is the AgroPro Smart Sugarcane Support Services. Piloted in over 200 acres of cane fields, the project expects to offer replanting services to farmers, including technical support, land preparation, smart planting, post-planting maintenance, and credit offered under a payment plan.
Where we're standing is one of our pilot sites that we use to learn how we will do this project. The pilot site acreages was for 200 acres. This is a 30-acre plot. And we learned basically what to do for the cane farmers, because this is designed specifically to suit the needs of our current cane farmers, right? One of the things that we really wanted to ensure we do is that we give the farmers the agronomic technology and technical support. That is very important for this program to work. With climate change and climate resilience being one of the key objectives, we have to weave that into our program. There are some key transformational activities that we have to do during the agronomic implementation. But this project is going to be for 800 acres annually of replanting. We're not looking for fields that we have to deforest. So that's the first criteria. We have to work with the areas that are low producing for around 12 tons per acre. Under 16 tons per acre would be those fields that we're looking for. And the amount of tonnage, we know we can get up to 30 tons per acre, being conservative in some of those areas. So we want to double the yields really for cane farmers by doing the right practices, redesigning some of the fields to suit the needs that are coming up.
In the previous two crop seasons, the BSI mill has been milling less cane than it is currently capable of grinding. This, according to Olivia Aviles, cane farmers relations manager at BSI ESR, raises a main concern which this project is geared at addressing.
One of those key needs is the use of mechanical harvesting for cane cutting. We know we have a labor shortage for cane cutting, and we also have weather challenges that cane cutters sometimes don't want to cut in the really hot weather conditions. And we have to transform our fields and modernize it really, so that we're able to keep up with the production. The mill capacity currently is about 1.3 million tons of cane, and last year we know there was only 997,000 tons, which signals an under capacity, cane supply capacity under our amount for about 20%. And so we're very concerned with that, because we have to be able to meet our capacity. So for that reason, we have developed this project. Farmers, we know they have challenges sometimes to get the credit approved, challenge to access services, complete services. And so this is the project that we have launched. We are investing $3 million Belize dollars in equipment for 830 acres of replanted land, and also we are looking at ratoon maintenance services or field maintenance services for 6,600 acres annually.
Implemented on this particular land, you can see the extent of the project on the field itself, which has been planted using precise specifications which are ideal for mechanical harvesting and platoon maintenance.
The design of the field. We know that right now we're currently passing through a critical period that finding labor is difficult. So we have to be establishing our fields in a vision of the future. We could currently move from maybe not fully mechanically, but a certain percentage of the operation of sugarcane to mechanically. So this is the first one, the design of the field. Rows that are optimal for mechanical harvesting or for other activities carried on with fertilization and with control. The length and that will permit us to for the efficiency of the harvester and the machineries to lower the cost, and in terms of that you will be a farmer that you will be saving that money in case of doing fields that are designed for manual harvesting, short rows, the orientation of the rows, so that doesn't match to switching from manual harvesting to mechanical harvesting. In this case, this is an example, a good example of this field. This field was currently, well, last year was harvested manually, and the field doesn't permit to harvest mechanically. So we find out that this field could easily be turned up from manually designed to a mechanically designed. So that is how we see at this moment our fields that are good. For this field, it is optimal for mechanical harvesting. So as I mentioned, we are currently going to a shortage of labor, and this field could easily enter in the program of the pilot project of mechanical harvesting that BSI has.
And like anything new being introduced, BSI realizes the concerns which may be raised by farmers in relation to possible lost time in order to have the project up and running in their fields. This, according to Project Supervisor Miguel Keme, is where the technical support is expected to assist farmers to plan accordingly.
When we mention this of replanting, I as a farmer have to consider what is the area that I have available, what is my production. Just an example, if I have 10 acres, what is recommended for you to replant every year is 10%, minimal 10%. So that farmer has to replant 1 acre every year for him not to decrease in his quota and also to be increasing his production when he has that planting available for harvesting. Now, what is the benefit for replanting is ensuring all what I have mentioned, the good land preparation, the good planting, and the maintenance of the field. That will ensure an increase of your production. You will be assuring a 35 to 45 tons per acre, gradually having a field of 2 acres yielding maybe 15, 18 tons. So the difference in terms of production you will be increasing. It's just to consider the percentage that you will be replanting every year. It's not to say the farmer has to replant his entire field. Obviously, he will not have any cane to deliver for the next year. So it's a 10% that he has to be replanting.
The pilot of the AgroPro project is expected to yield the direct benefits to the industry by the year 2025.
This pilot project will be delivered in 2025 crop season, and yes, it's 1 year delay from the date we put in, but definitely the improvements in production will benefit not only the mill, it will benefit the farmer. They will be able to benefit. Of course, the cane prices is at an all-time high, and that is what we want to take opportunity. They also, the key thing is that the fields will be well designed, so they will be also able to apply for the ratoon services, which again, it will save them money, because once it's done complete and efficiently, then they're able to save money.
The Agro Pro project is expected to be officially launched to the industry here in Orange Walk on Thursday, November 30th. The Agro Pro project, which is expected to be officially launched to the sugar industry on Thursday, November 30th, has seen an initial investment by BSI ASR of $3 million in equipment and an expected $6 million annual investment to have the agro credit offered to farmers. This investment, according to Vice President of International Relations for ASR, Mac McLachlan, demonstrates the long-term commitment of the millers towards the viability of the industry, including individual farmers.
We're very excited, to be launching tomorrow the official launch of our AgroPro agro credit package for cane farmers. One thing we've seen in recent years is there's a fall-off in cane supply for the mill, and that is challenging profitability of the mill, which therefore challenges the viability of the whole industry. And I think one of the reasons for that, there's been an absence in Belize of proper structured agricultural credit, meaning that it's structured over a period of time that fits agricultural crops. And also, there's been a difficulty getting credit when you really need it, when the inputs are needed for land. And the second major problem has been a lack of replanting of cane. Cane, like any plant, has its life, and after a while you need to replant to maintain the productivity. And I think that the overriding concern has been that already very, very low productivity is getting lower and lower. In this last crop, we saw a number of cane fields where they couldn't actually harvest the cane because cutters wouldn't come and cut it. So we're trying to respond to that, because the other thing that's been lacking in the industry is proper service provision for this type of activity. So we have bitten the bullet. ASR is investing about $6 million Belize dollars annually in a revolving agro credit fund, and $3 million Belize dollars in farming equipment, tractors and implements, in order to be able to provide the credit needed to pay for these services, but also the services themselves. And so the whole point here, particularly with the replanting of cane, means that you can take a field that really is pretty much now defunct and that nobody will go cut, and you can make it into a really high-performing field. And all of this is a way of helping cane farmers to become more viable in the industry.
Being the first of its kind in Belize, the Agro Pro project, according to McLachlan, will serve as a catalyst to hopefully encourage other stakeholders, including the lending institutions, to come on board with similar incentives in the sugar industry.
All the credit programs that have come out for farmers in the past generally have been for cash rather than the service provision. And the problem with that is there are competing needs for that money. And also there just haven't been the consolidated service providers who can really do a good job in these fields and make sure that is going to be a good bang for buck for the farmer. So that's why we've come in. We're hoping this will be a catalyst for many others. We're hoping that we'll be catalyzing further investments from other lending institutions. We're hoping this will be multiplied when other development grants come online for farmers as well, such as through the Green Climate Fund. So I see this as a kind of a catalyst for transformation in the cane farm, which is really nothing new to sugar industries. This happens all over the world, but it needs to happen in Belize.
And while the miller is committed to ensuring viability for the industry, McLachlan says the cane farming community must also play its role.
What we're talking about is industry transformation. It's a big word, transformation, but it really means moving from this very low yield, low input cane farm into a farm where you're increasing the amount of cane produced on the same amount of land. And obviously that increases the revenue, and then that makes a cane farm a lot more viable. I think some things that can be thought about are farmers working together to create larger plots of land. So they call it block farming. There are, farm services I think the association should be looking at providing their farmers with services. We're watching a fall off at the moment in cane cutters. That's the obvious answer to that is move to more mechanised, and that's exactly what this programme will be doing. It'll be preparing these fields for mechanised harvesting in the future, which will be a great saving. And so I think the farmers, of course, have the lion's share of responsibility for improving the yield. I just think that it's right to give a helping hand.
On November 24, 2023, word broke that CEOs would be getting an increase in their monthly phone allowance from $250 to $600. The increase, which was to take effect from the respective dates of the CEOs' new contracts, was rescinded by government after much backlash from the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the Public Service Union, and the Belize National Teachers Union. Today, the Honorable Karim Musa was asked about the decision made by the CEO caucus, who unanimously decided that the approval should be rescinded.
I believe that proposal came sometime last week. As you know, chief executive officers are professionals. They have very busy schedules. They do spend a lot of time on their telephones. And so it was felt that they needed an increase. But of course, that matter has been rescinded. The CEOs have said that they would prefer not to have the increase at this time. But again, it draws a point that our CEOs, like I said, who are professionals, might not be getting the best salary that they deserve. And so we do try to find ways, because their job really is a 24/7 job. They get no breaks as chief executive officers within the respective ministries.
Is it that they decided that they didn't want it anymore or need it, or was it the pressure of the union added to the decision to rescind it?
I know the CEOs are meeting in caucus today. I don't know what led to that decision, but I know the decision was made yesterday and a press release issued.
The Positive Engagement and Civic Education called the Peace Program was officially launched in Belize City earlier today. It is a collaborative work that involves the Ministry of Home Affairs and New Growth Industries, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, and the United States Embassy in Belize. Ministers and ministry officials, students, and other invited guests gathered at the House of Culture in the Old Capital to witness the launch. The program is expected to be rolled out countrywide.
One of the hallmarks of our administration and of Plan Belize is introducing this concept of an all-of-government approach to fighting crime. Yes, at the end of the day, fighting crime is the police's responsibility, but we can do so much more when we tackle it from different fronts. And this ceremony this morning demonstrates exactly that. The collaboration that we have with the Ministry of Education, similar to the collaboration we have with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Human Development, working together in teaching our children life skills training, conflict resolution, conflict management, anger management. All of these things are absolutely essential in our fight against crime. We have seen where we have young children at a very young age being recruited by gangs, particularly in Belize City. And so this type of program targets specifically that. It interrupts violence within the schools. It educates children on their rights, on the right and the bad thing to do. And of course, like I said, we are just very grateful for this partnership, not just with the Ministry of Education, but also with the U.S. Embassy.
What role will the officers that were selected play in the various schools?
Well, they will actually be going school to school, Vijay, all across Belize City, and it is our hope that we can expand the program countrywide as well. But like I said, it's targeted specifically for the time being in the Belize district. They go into the classroom and educate the young children and build that type of relationship, because as you know, historically, children look at police sometimes in a very bad light. And this definitely bolsters that relationship. It gives them that trust and that confidence that children need to have in police officers.
How many officers are part of the program?
I believe a total of 30.
The donation of motorcycles?
Yes, it goes hand in hand. Again, thanks very much to the U.S. Embassy for that donation of 6 motorcycles, which will enable the officers to go from school to school with this handbook and with this project.
Is it difficult though, because we know the police resources are always stretched thin?
No, it's not difficult, but these will be specifically assigned to the community policing unit and to these peace officers.
Students stand to gain skills and tools to better themselves in the community by saying no to illicit activities, bullying, and gang activities.
I've always felt very strongly that education is a key component in the fight against crime and violence, in the fight against indiscipline and lack of respect in our communities and society. So I've always been willing and prepared to work very closely with the Belize Police Department, with Minister Karim. He and I have had many discussions about these issues. And so when the peace initiative and program was conceived and brought to my attention, we were very, very happy to support it, collaborate, work with the managing authorities, principals, teachers, to make sure that it was implemented in our school system at the primary school level, because that is where we have an opportunity to have make a fundamental change, if you like, and have an impact, a meaningful impact on our young people at those early stages of their lives. Before we like to say, when they get the high school and sixth form, they're already hardened. So we hope that programs like this one will have an impact on shaping them and providing them with the right life skills and right attitudes and values to make sure that they will be productive, positive citizens of Belize.
Well, first of all, as a department, we are committed to empowering young minds through innovative and collaborative effort, and the Peace Program is just one of those initiatives that address it at the core. The Peace Program will basically empower those youths, our children, with the ability to make right decisions, will empower them with the skills to avoid illicit activities. And we believe attacking it from the core, it is the right direction to go.
How did the idea for this program come about?
Well, the Peace Program is a precursor to the GREAT Program. We wanted to, because the GREAT Program was a basically Americanized program, and we wanted to create one for the Belize, that from a Belizean context, hence the reason that the team was brought together along with the U.S. assistance from the U.S. Embassy to put the program together.
And the cost of the cycles?
I believe the ambassador said it's 10,000 US.
The program is said to be successful after it was crafted to satisfy a local Belizean context. Attorney Kevin Arthurs has served for 3 years as CEO to Honorable Karim Musa in the Ministry of Home Affairs and New Growth Industries. He has vacated his seat, and Musa already has a new CEO to serve in that capacity. Today he spoke on the changes at the ministry.
I am filled with gratitude to Kevin for offering himself. I think he did an exceptional job in the 3 years in transforming really the culture within the police department. As you know, we want to create a community-based approach that is really bolstered by innovation and technology, and at the same time raising the level, raising the bar for police officers in this country, because at the end of the day we know how important it is to rebuild that trust with the public. And so I think putting in place these policies, he did an exceptional job in just 3 years, and in large part assisted with this LIU concept that has now taken off really and contributes greatly to the reduction in crime that we've seen specifically here in Belize City.
His tenure, however, was fraught with criticism by the opposition and other members of the society at large in terms of the effectiveness of his role as CEO.
Well, you just have to look at the results, Isani. Don't look at the fact that he's not a PR officer. So maybe some of you expected him to be in the media more. But you have the Commissioner of Police every single day in the media. And so you don't need that necessary presence from the CEO. And so he was very behind the scenes, like I said, putting together these policies and implementing them. And we're seeing the fruits today.
Can we talk about the selection of the new CEO, especially because she's the first woman, I believe, of any Home Affairs or National Security Ministry?
Yes, I'm very excited by our new Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Ms. Sharol Saldivar-Carr. Ms. Sharol is no stranger to our ministry. She actually has been with our ministry for the last year, working along with the LIU in partnership, firstly with Mr. William Dawson, and then now Chair Lady Dominique Norales. And she was really the national coordinator. And her strength, no doubt, is public management, public administration. That's where she has her degree, and she's actually finishing up her master's degree in project management. And so we are all excited. She enjoys the full support of the staff at the ministry as well as within the police department. The level of respect that they have for her, especially all that she did with the LIU. We're truly grateful for that, and now to see her elevated in this post, so we look forward to great things from Ms. Sharol.
As we told you, the Ministry of Home Affairs and New Growth Industries now has a new CEO. In fact, all CEOs are under contract which expire at the end of November. With this in mind, the Public Service Union is clamoring for CEOs' performance to be evaluated, and that should the revision turn out not favorable, that the contract not be renewed. Today, the Ministry of Education was questioned on the matter, and according to him, CEOs are examined for performance before a contract renewal is done.
I'm absolutely confident that there is. I mean, there's an ongoing assessment of CEOs. The Prime Minister, of course, as you know, is responsible for appointing CEOs. And we have, I think, on a quarterly basis, discussions with the Prime Minister about the performance of our CEOs. I know I have had many discussions with the Prime Minister about my CEO, who has been doing a fantastic job. There is an appraisal process. The Prime Minister, of course, this Cabinet Secretary, as you know, is the chairman of the CEO caucus. So he's the senior CEO, if you like. And he, as well, provides feedback to the Prime Minister, feedback to ministers about the work of CEOs. I think there's a well-established structure in place for assessing CEOs, appraising them. And if the Prime Minister, at the end of the day, based on that feedback from ministers and from the Cabinet Secretary, feels that the CEOs are not performing well, then their contracts will not be renewed.
But even with the decision of an increase in phone allowance for CEOs now rescinded, the PSU president says if there is money for allowances, then increments should be returned to public officers. But for Fonseca, there is no comparison between a phone allowance and increments.
The president of the PSU knows very well that we have had very good discussions on these issues at the joint union level. The negotiating team from government, headed by the Deputy Prime Minister, along with the joint unions, we've discussed these issues, and we have made it very clear to them that at the appropriate time, when economic conditions provide for it, that we will be happy to discuss that matter with them. But there's no comparison, man, between allowance for CEOs which would amount to, I think over a year, probably, $100,000 for all of them, to what you're talking about, which is millions and millions of dollars. So that's not, I think, a fair comparison.
And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, November 30th, here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3newsbz. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.